Hi everybody, welcome once again. My name is Carlo Mombelli and I'm coming to you live from my little space here in Johannesburg, South Africa. And it's summer and beautiful weather today. So I thought I'll show you a few small pieces. I have a thing that sometimes I just write 4 bars or 5 bars or 6 bar pieces, and those pieces can go on for 10 minutes. So I want to look at 2 pieces today and my relationship with musicians that play these pieces. Now I'd like to look at a piece of music called Meditations in My Backyard. So when I hear something or something comes to me, I make a sketch of it. And either I'm going to work on it immediately or I put it away for a while. And I wrote a poem, like I think 20 years ago. I wrote this funny little poem, but I didn't have a place for it. And it was called 1,000 Years of Knits. And I didn't have any music for it, so nothing came. So I waited, and many years the composition arrives for the poem. Now the composition is called Meditations in My Backyard. Consists of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bars. So let me tell you about the musicians that played on this composition. It's on an album of mine called I Press My Spine to the Ground. I did a recording. I was invited to do a recording with a fantastic South African musician, saxophone player, flute, called Zimngwana. And he calls me. He says he's putting this record together. There's a singer, Sadet Khoza, a young pianist called Kyle Shepherd. And at the time I was playing with Justin Badenhorst, great drummer in my project, The Prisoners of Strange. So he books the session, and Zim tells us he's got, besides his saxophones, he's got this big bass drum set up, like a marching bass drum, okay? And Zim says to all of us, when I hit this bass drum, take it to the next level. And every time you hear the bass drum, you take it to the next level. That was the only instructions we had for this recording. And I was sitting I had never met Kyle Shepherd yet. Kyle Shepherd, the fantastic pianist from Cape Town. And I was sitting inside the booth, but there's the sound booth where the mixing is. and they were busy, and they had the microphone on. The piano was in a separate room, and I heard this incredible sound, this spiritual piano playing this music, and I looked through there, and I saw Kyle Shepherd playing, oblivious that the sound was on in the booth. He was just playing to himself, and there was nobody listening, according to him, and nobody watching. He just had his hands on the piano, and just this sound of beauty just came out of the piano. It's like he didn't play into the piano. It was as if he was drawing the sounds out of the piano. And immediately I was attracted to Kyle Shepherd. Just the spiritual sound that I heard. And that's the first time that I came across Kyle. And ever since then, we've been working now. That was 2009. Anyway, we did the recording, and it was one track, actually, and it stopped just before 70 minutes. Luckily, it stopped because otherwise it wouldn't fit onto a CD. And it was quite a crazy recording, and those tapes kind of disappeared. As Zim passed away, I think not so long after that, Zim passed away. It was a big loss for South African music, not just for music, but for his teachings of philosophy about music and what music really means for us on this planet. So ever since then, I went back to Kyle and I started connecting with Kyle, and now we've built up such a bond over the years that when we play together, I don't have to say much. And he knows how I play, I know how he plays, and we can just connect. So I connect through Kyle through my compositions, and he just connects on how he plays my compositions. There's very few people that play my compositions like he does. So it's what I loved about it is his complete natural approach. He's a complete natural. He's a natural approach to it. Then I start this jam session called in downtown Johannesburg, called the Lab of Learning. It was a jam session like no other, where anybody could come, and at the beginning of the jam session, I had a little book. You wrote in the book your name, style of music, your instrument, kind of what you wanted to play, etc. Any level was open for absolute beginners to super advanced. And then I would play with my little trio. I had a trio, me, Jonathan Crosley, and Justin Bardenhorst. And then we played 3 or 4 tunes. And then we took a break. And then I would take the book and I saw all the different things. I would have a classical pianist. I would put them together with I would make the bands. I would put them together with a drummer. And I would see somebody that's not that experienced, a young little kid. I put them together with a really experienced band. And for me, it was about, just as the name says, the lab of learning. And I was very And then I would make everyone feel like a superstar. I would then compare the evening. I'd say, ladies and gentlemen, welcome on stage, la la la, so. And they felt like superstars. And afterwards, if I heard that there were any, like the singer was singing out of tune on a project, but I could figure out the guitar was out of tune, I'd be direct. I'd say, look here, it didn't sound so great. Because you see, when you have to be, I find that as people, if you have to be direct, you have to be honest, straightforward, but you have to back that up with a positive solution. We're trying to make solutions so that people can grow. Then I would say, look here, that didn't sound good, and this is why. Because I heard that your D string was really out of tune, and maybe it was in the wrong register for you. You sounded gorgeous in this register, but when you did this, you forced it. And then I would see the same person come back the next week and had taken my advice, and it sounded amazing, sounded beautiful. And I would see week after week the people around me growing, and that's what it was about, the lab of learning where we were growing. Well, Nduduzo Makatini, the South African pianist, which I played quite a lot with, and he told me about the singer Mbuso Khoza that learned to sing as a little boy in the mountains in KwaZulu-Natal herding cattle. And Mbuso had a song for the different cows and sheep, and he sung for them, and they came to him via his voice. His school of music was in the mountains in KwaZulu-Natal. Kyle's school of music was sitting at the piano of Abdullah Ibrahim, because his mum played violin in the band of Abdullah Ibrahim, and he grew up around these sounds. So one night, Mbuso Khoza comes to the jam session, the lab of learning, and I just hear this angelic voice. It was just incredible. I said, Mbuso, why don't you come to my house? And so I started playing Mbuso some things, and at that stage, Mbuso was really fresh. I mean, if you told him coming after 4 bars, he'd say, what do you mean a bar? He just came in when he felt it, actually. And then I realized, actually, I invited him to play in a project of mine and to record in Switzerland. We went to Switzerland to record an album called Stories. But the way that I approached it, I decided not to force anything on him. I decided to tell him what the song was about. What it was about. So I had and then he would just improvise the melodies according to how he felt. And it just was incredible. So me and Kyle, I got together with Kyle and Mbuso, whose school of music is in the mountains of KwaZulu-Natal. And he's grown incredibly now. And so I have a piece called Picasso's Dove. I visualized this dove of Picasso, which is a symbol of peace and how we need it now. So it's a simple piece. It's 5 bars long. It's that is it. That's the whole song. And the way that I approached this recording with Mbuso, I said, Mbuso, This composition is about this picture, and I showed him the picture of Pablo Picasso's dove. I said, this is a symbol of peace, and this song is about peace. That's all. I told the band that this song is about peace, and I left it at that. And everybody, we had great drummer Kezivan Naidu, who is also a beautiful colorist. Like I said, I've had the great opportunity to play with some incredible drummers on this planet. Kezivan is one of them. And it was Kezivan, Kyle on piano, me just holding down the composition, I'm the glue, and Mbuso just improvising the songs for peace. Just in his own language, in his own time, just making it up. And that's how I got to perform and record Picasso's Dove. Take a listen to it.
Kulomhlaba kweli zivunguvungu zobunzima sidinga uthando sidinga ubunye kulomhlaba kweli ububi sithandazela lo moya wokubonelelana kulomhlaba kweli udlambedlu kulomhlaba kweli zimbi.
Now the session was coming to a close, and I thought, wow, I have this little piece. It is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bars long. I think a Picasso's Dove is like 4 bars long. Okay. And I gave it to Kyle and to Kyle and I said, can we try this please in the studio? It's just called Meditations in My Backyard, where I just play. And I just loop that. And then I improvise a little bit. On top of that. And then this is all I play. That's the composition. Just that. And it just cycles. So I wanted to try it out, and we have beautiful engineer Peter Oret. I'm so happy that he recorded us rehearsing it, because we played it once through. Mbuso hears the chords for the first time, and because he's such a natural, he just starts improvising. Kezivan just starts improvising, and the piano solo that comes out of Kyle's hands, it's just incredible. I'm just playing this thing, and the thing about it is that when every time you play, every time you touch your instrument, it must be beautiful. I don't just want to try and jam and do this. When I put my hand on this instrument, I don't want to waste any notes. It must be beautiful. I'm searching for beauty every time I put my hand on this instrument. And that's what happened in the session. What you hear on this recording now is us trying out the piece of music for the first time. And we didn't record it again. It was the rehearsal that was so deep that we put it on the recording. And that's because Kyle, when he puts his hands on the piano, there's just beauty that comes out. The moment Mbuso opens his mouth to sing and he's listening, it's just beauty that comes out. And then I had this poem, and I said, yes, this is the composition. And I thought, who has got who could recite this poem? And then I love the voice of Brenda Sassani. She's a radio presenter, and I spoke to Brenda. Brenda, I have this poem. I just need you to come into the studio and recite this poem for me. And she did it. So we recorded the poem on top of this composition, and that's Brenda Sassani reciting my poem, 3,000 years of knits onto meditations is my backyard. I got her to recite another poem of mine on the same album called I Press My Spine to the Ground, and we can talk about that poem another time. But this is just a little something that I wanted to share of my relationship on how I worked with Mbuso Khoza, incredible musician. And it's just first time. Every time you never have to repeat anything because it's out of tune. It's just, and never because it was in the wrong place. It's in the right place. And the same with Kyle, and the same with Kezivan on this recording. So that's just a little bit of my snippets and tidbits for today. Peace and love, everyone. And I'm praying for peace on this planet in such a big way. And these are my contributions. Peace and love.
Superpowers, super twits, 3,000 years of knits. We watched the lonely poets sing and fall into the pits. We heard the horrid, torrid ping. We saw a nasty, toothless thing. It roared, it sneered, it bit its tongue. A careless liver, a tiny shiver. Run, you handsome lonely ones.
Luigi. Hey, my boy. How are you? This is Luigi. This is the dog that you sometimes hear in my videos. I'd just like to end off this little session, and I hope you enjoyed it. I just want to show you basically my book. That all the stuff that I show you, my compositions, are found in a book. I put them all in a book called Pulses in the Center of Silence, and with beautiful scores of the full lead sheets, full scores, and solo bass pieces. And I've put together a little bit of my approach on how I see music, things that are important to me. So I've got 5 chapters that I've written up front. The first chapter, the elements, which I feel are tone, time, taste, ears, and technique. And I speak about each of the elements. And then chapter 2, the 4 P's, passion, practice, perseverance, and passion, the journey to the elements. Chapter 3, composition and improvisation, my approach. I write about it, how I feel about it. And then originality, chapter 4. I really feel everyone is an original. And I'll give you an insight to how I feel about that. And then chapter 5, learning and teaching. I mean, can creativity be taught, etc. And so there's quite a. I hope it's going to be an inspirational bit of writing for you. And then you have all the compositions, and this you can get from real African publishers, Johannesburg-based publishing company, and see below for the link and the website for that. Until next time, peace and love, everyone.